Hey, how's it going? Today I have a video on a recent drawing I did. Well, recent as in today's time anyway. I'm very proud of how it turned out, so I thought I'd do a speed paint on it. I will be walking through some of the process with you, because I think it would help those who want to know what's going on. So, I hope you enjoy it. So, when I draw, I usually use a canvas size of 1620 pixels by 2160 pixels, which is the HD canvas size on the Ibis Paint, because that's the most comfy for me, but you can use what you like. When I draw, almost every time I need reference because I find it hard to visualize things, so I use an app called Magic Poser to help me customize poses to use as reference. I draw guidelines on the reference and then use that as a guide for my own drawing because it makes it easier to see where all the anatomy goes when I'm referencing. I will put all the QR codes of the brushes that I use at the end, so don't worry. Though they only work for Ibis Paint, but I'm sure they have similar brushes on other programs. Sometimes I like to fill in the base colors before I do the line art, just so I can do lighting and stuff to make sure everything looks nice before I line it, because lining takes a long time and I don't want to mess anything up. And also it helps me weight the lines better when I know where the shadows are and when the lighting is, so that's basically what I'm doing. Okay, so now we're on to the line art. This is my least favorite part, but I'm trying to enjoy it more than I used to. I use a thin brush, but later you'll see I blur the line art a bunch to make it look softer and have more depth. I learned that having thinner lines on parts where the light hits the character or smaller details can make your art look more in depth, and thicker lines where the shadows are or overlapping areas can add a lot to your drawing. Unfortunately, I don't have pen pressure, so I have to do this manually. Also, I draw each part of the line art. For example, the hair is separate to the face. Like, I do it on different layers so that I can color the line art easier later. For coloring, I often make a folder for each part that I'm coloring. For example, if I'm shading clothes, I'll have a folder labeled clothes shading, so that it's easier to keep organized and see what parts I'm coloring, rather than scrolling through tons and tons of layers to find what I need. Honestly, I didn't really used to do this, it's more of a recent thing, but it helped me a lot, so here's my tip basically. Also, when I shade, I put most of the layers on multiply, since it helps match the shading better to the color. The base color, that is. For the highlights, I usually do white or light yellow, and I put the layer on add or overlay depending on the look of things. Using tutorials can really help, and I do that a lot when I'm stuck on how to shade things, so don't be afraid to just use tutorials. I do it all the time. When it comes to lighting, so actually my sister taught me a bit about lighting, so thanks to her I'm a lot better at it than I used to be. It helps a lot to think about where the light source is coming from and where it's hitting the person or object in question. There will be darker shadows where the light doesn't hit or below it, and since the light is coming from the sword, most of his face will be illuminated. If you're not sure, there are always references to help you out. Don't be afraid to learn things. All artists learn things as they go, and there's always new ways of doing things, so whatever works for you. I also like to duplicate the layer of the person I'm drawing and color it with a gradient, and then play around with filters until I find something I like. For example, here I did a red gradient and put it on multiply because I wanted a more darker tone to the drawing. So it just depends on what your theme is. Ta-da! Well, that's all I have to offer today. I hope you enjoyed my Speedpaint tutorial thing, and if you liked it, I'll try and make more in the future. It's also okay if you don't know what you're doing. Half the time I don't know what I'm doing either, so it's totally cool. Bye for now!